I'm in the back lane from LA to Tokyo. Oh.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 50 of the League of Legends Anonymous podcast. I am your host, Sam, aka Just Casual. Here I have with me Blake, aka Wise Papa Smurf.
What's happening, Captain?
Not much. And Ernie, aka Nova XT.
Hello.
What's up, guys? How you guys doing?
Pretty solid.
Ernie, how about you?
I'm doing pretty well.
I see no
little
sad
tired.
lamp, so it must be a good
little
day.
tired. I am tired though. I'm not using it, but I am tired.
Well, it's better than nothing, I guess.
I know.
I'll take tired over drunk, cranky Ernie feeding in game.
I wasn't drunk. I was just very, very tilty feety.
I thought
Okay.
we aired out all of our dirty laundry on each other on Twitter today.
Yeah.
I didn't know you were saving some for the actual cast.
You should know Sam.
Yeah,
You
we
guys know each other.
if you guys missed all the Twitter action today, basically
we were PJ salting each other,
it's
just pouring them on our open wounds.
it's so funny. We just like air out all the issues that we had the day before. We're just like, "Oh my god, Blake is blah 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 or Ernie is blah blah or Sam is blah blah blah." And then we just like air it out publicly and then we're like, Okay, all good.
And then we generated a whole bunch of memes on it and then laughed.
I was I was just sitting at work like looking at my Twitter feed and I was like, dude, I feel like just writing up the most trolliest stuff in the whole world and that's what I did. It
It
was
was
the most greatest time.
it was fun. Definitely was fun. Kind of silly, but anyways, enough of chit chat. Let's get to the meat of the stuff. So actually, do you know if we have any more iTunes reviews or any?
I haven't checked.
I haven't checked.
Hey.
Well, why don't you open it up because we do have at least one. So I'll read that off for us. The first iTunes review we have is from. It's titled "Yup," and it is from Azadaf Asdf.
ASDF.
Yes.
The ASDF, man.
Yep. And he writes very kind words. He says, "They talk about league stuff." ... It's 5 stars.
Cute.
I have no complaints.
I'll take it. It's right up there with the period that Stone Sentinel gave us.
Oh yeah, that was awesome.
Top 2 reviews of all time. Both topical. Both get to the point. They're concise. You know,
Mhm.
he's right. We do talk about league stuff, which automatically makes us better than every other podcast that is shut down.
that are still
You
ahead of
know?
us.
I mean, hey, that's we're ahead of the game, boys. Woo! One day we'll outrun some dead bodies of other podcasts, but until that day, we'll keep making a quality product.
Until that day. Wait, and then once we hit that day, our quality just goes to shit. Is that what you're saying?
LOLA podcast, losing a foot race with a corpse. That's us.
Oh, that's so sad.
And in one case, a German corpse from the Baghdad
Oh,
soccer podcast.
that's right. That's right. So for the rest of this wait, Ernie, do we have any more iTunes reviews?
We do not have any more iTunes
Alright.
reviews. That's the only one.
Hey, one is better than none. So
Thank you.
for the rest of the
Yes.
podcast,
Yeah.
we have a 60-second tip about cougar life.
Yep.
I think.
So this week's 60-second tip is on cougar life. And remember, this is Italy, and Ernie isn't the only one on cougar life. You should be too. You guys don't understand the reference to cougar life, just type that into the internet and look up Ernie's profile. Anyway.
What?
And then if you
What?
want to sign up, don't forget to use the
What?
promo code LOLA podcast at the end of your
Oh my god. You guys are, oh my god.
For 20% more cougar.
Don't tell our younger listeners about this, man.
No, that's cougar life's target demographic. They need to know. How are all these cougars gonna get?
So illegal, dude.
Hey, just get your parents' credit card information and then
Sign yourself up. I think it's free if you're a cougar cub.
Oh my god.
They charge the cougars, I think, is their model. So anyway, all right, on to the 60-second tip. So Nidalee, remember to use your traps to scout bushes. This can give you a lot of useful information, and the range of your traps is fairly absurdly long. So you can make sure to stop that Jace from being able to bash your face in with his mallet, or that Jax from being able to jump stun on you. All you have to do is make sure to go ahead and plant those traps. Okay, my dog just went nuts for no reason. Okay, anyway, number 2, make use of your passive to help you escape or engage. This is a huge point to mastering Nidalee, and beginners will often forget that she even has a passive. Nidalee's passive lets you move faster in bushes, so use it. You can actually escape through the jungle rather than straight down a lane, and you'll get further. Luden's Echo is a completely awesome and synergistic item for Nidalee. You need to grab that item first. Secondly, Zanya's is incredibly good for Nidalee because while it also enhances the power of her spears, if she dives in cougar form, it can give her the opportunity to survive a little while longer to refresh her absurdly low cooldowns. So make sure you focus on getting those items early if you can. Secondly, practice your wall jumps in custom games. That's really important. Last but not least, Cougar Q is an auto attack reset. Use it as an auto attack reset. All right, there you
Cool.
go.
Blake has obviously been on Cougar Life most of his life.
Cougar Life.
Yeah, I think that's the theme song. Their jingle when you sign up, right?
It is. No, it's on the TV. Yeah. How about I buy you a drink, Ernie?
No.
That's what them Cougars say, buddy.
Ernie plays it hard to get.
No thanks.
No
Alright.
thanks, you old cougar bitch. Get out of here. I
Yeah.
like them younger cougars.
Yeah, so with Nidalee, I don't know. I haven't seen her much since Cinderhawk got released and probably a little before that, but I think she's still a good jungler. It's just you have to be decent at her because hitting that spear is everything. If you can't hit the spear, then you're done. And the spear is not that easy to hit anymore, so
Hey, she's still a good laner.
that's true too. I think she's
People
forgotten.
forgot about her being in the lanes because she was the jungle hotness there for a little bit. But yeah, dude, she's still a very solid pick.
Agreed.
cool. Yeah, Ernie's mastered her. He knows what's up.
Ernie knows his cougars, man.
I particularly
Ever since he was a young
like
boy.
the Rod of Ages Cougar build.
Ah, you like it stacking over time.
You like the
Oh
old,
yeah.
huh?
You like the investment.
God damn it, you guys!
Rod of elderly cougars. That Ernie likes.
All right, so
I'll
thanks-
just put it this way: Ernie doesn't go to nursing homes to visit his grandma.
oh no,
He goes
That's
to
a-
nursing homes to find him some hot ladies.
I don't know if Cougar Life goes that far.
I bet they would.
That's like Mufasa Life or something.
Mufasa's a lion and a male.
More importantly, dead.
Yeah, and dead. Yeah, that's like another next level of cougar when they've already died.
I think there's a term for that, necrophilia. Anyways, patch 5.9. We are 1 week late on the patch 5.9 because we had special guest Fusa on last week, which was awesome. If you haven't checked that out, go check it out. If you like it, retweet or post it somewhere so more people can see it. But it was a really, really good time. So we are going to run down patch 5.9. Again, this is more of a quick recap, what we think is important, what we think is relevant for the patch. Plus, you've probably already heard it from all the other podcasts, so we don't want to beat a dead horse. So we're going to pick and choose a few things. So the first thing I want to talk about is the attack move functionality. Basically, they've added a new feature, attack move on cursor, that will attempt to attack move the target nearest your cursor if you target the ground near them. If no target is found, you will attack the nearest target as normal or move to the targeted area if no targets are nearby at all. And to note, you can turn this off in the menu. So this has been live for about a week. Probably, I don't know. It's a nice quality of life fix if you're inaccurate.
To be honest, I'm an attack mover user,
Mhm.
and since this went live, it's very, very weird.
Really?
Personal experience, yeah. So I use both right click on attack and I use attack move.
Mhm.
But it feels so weird because sometimes, at least from personal experience, within the week, it's hard to adjust because I'm so used to the old version of attack move where it always targets the nearest thing first. But with this thing, if there's two targets right next to each other and you target basically you're farthest away on the ground, it's supposed to attack the farthest away target within your attack range. And it's hard to adjust for people that used to use the attack move functionality before.
Well, I guess
I've been adjusting to it.
sure. So for me, I'm also a attack move user, but when I'm kiting away from people, I don't attack move click behind my character model. I actually
I do.
You do. So that I could see that being a total different story because if there's minions behind you, it screws things up. So
Yeah.
I didn't think about that. But
Yeah.
for the most part, this helps with like clicking accuracy or helps with the inaccurate clicking. if you are trying to select targets, like I've missed last hits because I just totally misclicked a minion. This
I'll
will
say this,
help me.
like, I've been playing ADC exclusively while leveling my Smurf, and I found this to be like an absolute godsend in attack moving and trying to like pick a target that's in the middle of a whole bunch of like minions or something like that, or just on the other side of minions. Because before I was limited to just right clicking, and I hate that. Like I hate having to click my target champions only button and then right clicking, because it's not what I usually do. I usually do a left click and then I right click to move. A left click, right click to move, like that, right?
Yeah.
This lets me actually do that and still, like, be able to precision out a target to a certain degree, right? The downside is if they're like totally surrounded by minions and they're like right in the middle, you still have to do that with the target champions only, because you can't hold that button and attack move.
Sure.
It still doesn't work like
It's its own
that.
separate button, like Z
Right.
or X or something, whatever you use.
Right, I put it on my mouse, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's. I mean, like when the patch first came out, I didn't actually notice this change at all. To be honest, and then I went into a custom game and just figured out that this is active by default. So if you haven't gotten used to it, you might want to consider turning it off because it's defaulted turned on.
Or get used to it.
Or
I
or get
think-
used to it.
I'd say get used to it, because
Yeah.
the reality is,
I've been
I think
adjusting to it.
yeah, I think it's just better.
hmm
Like, I don't think there's any reason why, aside from the fact that, like, you've already learned an inferior way to do it, that you wouldn't want this.
Yeah.
And it's like, why lock yourself into doing something that's not going to be that good for you?
Is a fly bothering you again, Blake?
I've got 2 of them now, and they're, like, circling me like buzzards. I don't know what the hell's going on here. That's why my dog freaked out during the 60-second tip, is the flies were flying around
It's
her.
like you're living a cartoon, man. Go shower.
It's not me! It's, yeah,
We
like,
all
I
know
live,
it's you.
I live in a junkyard. I'm like Pigpen from Charlie Brown. I just
Yeah, at
constantly and have visible clouds of dust rolling off my
Uh-huh.
body. That's me.
You didn't clean your room just before the podcast and found like spiders like this big.
Ugh. I'm guessing that was your
That was my experience.
is your
today.
weekly cleaning
What
podcast
did
day.
you-
He does
Like,
live in
I
a
thought
basement.
You lived in America. That's like African spiders. Like, Ernie, look outside. Is there sand everywhere?
No,
Even the jungle.
no. I mean, I don't know. I had boxes laying around that I haven't really looking into for like 2 weeks.
Did you used to have a spider collection?
No, I didn't have a spider
Well,
collection.
he threw that away.
Because probably if you did, the biggest spider survived and killed all the other ones, and that's the one you found. is my
Or little ones survived inside the big one, and I just created a monster by killing the big one, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. All right. So anyway, attack move. Yeah, just so you guys are aware, if you don't read the patch notes or something, you're like, why isn't something I'm doing working? That's probably why. Again, our advice: get used to it. Next thing. So going into champions, Ashe. Ashe has been the big talk ever since she was released on the PBE, or news of her rework released on the PBE. So since we already discussed it before, I'm just gonna do a really quick recap, and then we're gonna talk about it. The first thing, so basically with her passive, or she has no more standard crits. She has something different with her crits, which I'll explain right now. Instead of her passive, her old passive, all of her auto attacks apply a slow and a frost shot. So the slow is removed off her Q active. So all of her auto attacks apply slow and frost shot. Auto attacks from Ashe on targets with frost shot will deal additional damage. So once you apply frost shot with an auto attack or any of her abilities, she will deal additional damage. This additional damage has a formula that is based off of crit bonus, specifically the Infinity Edge bonus on that, and crit chance. So that's where her quote-unquote crits or increased damage come from. So with her Q, it now builds stacks of focus. If she activates Q, she gains attack speed and an increased slow. If she waits until she gets 5 stacks of focus, which is built by auto attacks, she and
Ollie,
and
or any
her
of her
abilities, yeah.
Yep.
Her basic attacks turn into a flurry of 5 arrows and also has increased attack damage. So, her W has lower mana and lower cooldown. It shoots more arrows, but enemies can now block multiple arrows, only taking damage from just the first one that hits. And this spell also applies Frost Shot. E, Hawkshot, is now global, stores 2 charges, and no longer generates gold. And her alt, Enchanted Crystal Arrow, applies Frost Shot, but slows for less. What do you guys think about the new Ashe? Have any of you tried her?
Oh, I've been playing Ashe as much as I can, like almost. Besides Master Yi, I've been playing Ashe. Like if I don't get Ashe, I've been playing Master Yi, and if that's pretty much it. I know there was a few games where I'm just like testing out just different champions. I'm like, yeah, that's a no-go, okay? But primarily it's just Ashe and then Master Yi for me currently. My thoughts on Ashe is she has a weak lane phase unless you have a really good support. Like, if you have a good support, Ashe survives lane phase, and she potentially is a bigger late game carry than even Jinx.
Really?
Like, yeah, she scales super well with that Q. It shreds tanks like no other, from my personal opinion. Like, basically, by like by five full items, 80 carry, and comparable like Nautilus tank,
Mm-hmm.
I just shred through that Nautilus like in the 4 seconds that the five focus Q lasts.
Sure.
You can just kill him straight up.
Okay.
Yeah, the damage is ludicrous on that.
Yeah, it's crazy, and I think she is a super hyper late game carry from personal experience. But she does have a weakness in her lane phase if you don't have a good support.
Sure. Okay.
Is what I've noticed.
I have been playing the shit out of Ashe because she's like one of 2 ADCs that I own on my Smurf account. So, if you look at my match history on WP Smurf, it is all Ashe and 1 game of Katarina. So, yeah, and she's actually the champion I have the most mastery points in, coincidentally, on that account. But I have to say, like, her laning phase used to be painfully passive, like to the point where you couldn't really do anything, and it was frustrating because it's like, okay, yeah, I can poke with volley, and now I have to back off in CS, and because I don't have any other damage, and then okay, I'm gonna poke with volley again, and blah blah blah. It is still the same. That is still how you play her in lane, because you're still going to be maxing volley first. Q is nice, but volley still comes first. So, that being said, the difference though is if you do get the focus stacks and you do catch your opponent out, you actually have the opportunity to force a punishing trade and series of trades with your Q.
Okay.
Whereas you didn't have that before. It was just like, okay, I'm going to auto attack you, and then you're going to use abilities on me. Right? So the champions that used to counter Ashe the hardest, when that was like Ezreal, used to be a really hard Ashe counter, because all you'd have to do is phase shift her W and then blast her, because you've got abilities and she doesn't.
Yeah.
Now she has Q and she can somewhat defend herself. Granted, it's not like a Graves Q or a Lucian, you know what I mean? She's not a lane bully, but she can defend herself now, and she at least has the tool to be able to do that.
From my mini games as Ashe, I think her matchups got changed. Like, Graves is actually one of the most difficult matchups for an Ashe, especially with a mediocre support.
Hmm.
Like, just an average support you'd have laning with you. Graves is actually one of the terrors as being an Ashe. Like, because because Graves likes to get up into your face, and when you're trying to last hit, he will basically dash close enough to get like 2 shots of his buckshot off,
Hmm.
but far enough to be behind the minion, like the melee minion line,
Hmm.
right? And the minion line will block like literally all of your volley shots.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no doubt that Graves beats that Ash. You know,
He blew his
and
buckshot on that Ash.
he buckshots that Ash and then blasts her right in the face. Um, Plus, I mean, Ash is going to be dead so fast, and that's just because Graves likes necrophilia alive.
But yeah, I mean,
Shout back to early.
Ash has a better lane phase, but still kind of a really scary lane phase. If depending on your support, and she scales super well into the late game, like hyper carry, late game hyper carry worth scaling into the late game. Is my opinion on Ash.
Sure. Yeah, I like
Yeah,
the points you made. Her matchups are definitely different now because before it was like what I felt like Ash was like she gets poked everyone pokes better than her, everyone all ins better than her, and everyone like uh I guess those are the only two. So she just did like better poke than bad pokers, better burst than bad bursters. She was like the middle line, the like absolute
and
median.
crazy, yeah, and crazy good ultimate.
Yeah, and then level 6 things change a little bit, but she's like if she wants to win a trade, she kind of needs to like hit you 5 times or something like that. She can't just hit you with a volley and run away while Graves trades with you because you're going to lose that trade. And if you get caught by a Jinx or a Vayne, you're going to lose that trade because you're not going to get enough auto attacks. Now with that focus thing, it's like, oh, if she gets in a little quick trade, if she has her Q ready to go, she could boom and burst you down pretty quickly and even finish you off if you have the right support, like even a Leona or something like that, even like an Alistar, or a Nami, whatever. Like she can burst that.
She still works well with Zyra, by the way.
Yeah, level 6 synergy.
I
is so
know,
good.
I know. As a matter of fact, that her lane matchups also got or like lane partner strategies changed too. I have seen a crap ton of Karma Ash, and they work tremendously well together.
Because you get that mobility and then better trade with the shield and good
Karma
poke.
can get
Yeah,
the root with Ash's slow.
And
You can't get away
they both are pretty pokey, like
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
as well. Like they can
Yeah, that's a
just
good
poke
point.
people out of lane.
yeah. I don't think Ash has not had less
By the way,
or more or less
Thre-
favorable. Yep.
Thresh Ash works now too. Because Thresh locks her down enough that Ash can get her auto attacks off to stack her focus, and then
Mhm.
just start seeing the target with those focus stacks. And if she gets 5 focus stacks, you really cannot outtrade her,
Sure.
which is really good. The one thing I would warn people about with Ash, though, is if you're going to pick a team comp with Ash in it, don't pick jungle skirmishers, because Ash is super weak in the jungle. Her focus stacks do not stay on her very long, and she has to have something to build up those focus stacks on in a fight, and it takes very long to do that in the jungle because you got no minions to shoot.
Sure.
So beware, she's not that strong in the jungle. You as an Ashe should be using your hawkshot vision in order to avoid jungle fights, not make them.
Yep. Yeah, and like we said, how a matchup has changed. It's only changed in her favor. She has not like suddenly been like, oh, now she has a worse matchup with X champion. No, she's only gotten more favor out of the matchup. Would you agree with
I would
that?
say I agree. Yes, I agree. Because I think her kit's gotten stronger
Mhm.
overall.
Yeah.
Like I don't think it's gotten any weaker. The one thing I will say though is it feels like it takes a lot longer to get the ball rolling with Ash than it used to.
Hmm.
Because you lost that hawkshot gold and it really did make a difference.
Even if it was a 1 point wonder, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, especially because it was a 1-point wonder. It
Here's
made
a
all
str-
the difference.
here's a strategy though. I've been actually using this primarily for Ashe. So Ashe runs really well with crit because of her passive. Basically, her passive gives you if her passive deal every auto attack with frost shot on it deals 110% flat, and then it gets increased depending on like your crit damage and crit chance.
Hmm.
Okay, so with Infinity Edge and Phantom Dancer, that 110% flat goes up to 195% damage with anything on with that has frost shot on them.
Okay.
Okay, so the strategy I've been using is it's pretty standard. You go BF pickaxe,
Hmm.
but if you back before you can get your Infinity Edge, I will grab an Avarice Blade to
Okay.
start.
Yeah.
Just to hold on to start continue farming.
Because not
And-
only
and
you get the farming benefit from it, but the crit actually makes a difference in Ash's
Yep.
damage.
Yes,
It's
it
not
does.
like, oh, ignorable crit that I have to depend on RNG. No, that's not what you're depending on. You're actually getting more damage once your Q's.
Yeah, I mean,
go.
you just get more damage, and that's why that item is actually viable on Ashe as an early purchase item that doesn't make you as weak as it does if you're some other champion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? Like I was playing against the Graves the other day, and they got like first blood on us, and it was a bad deal. And basically, it was either me or my support misplayed it. I can't remember. But whenever we came back to lane, I had like a long sword and a Doran's, and they took an Avarice blade. And I went, "Oh, okay. Well, we're still ahead."
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like we just can't let him farm, and we're ahead. Yeah. Okay, let's do this. Beat his face in, and then sure enough, we picked a fight, beat the hell out of him because he bought an Avarice blade, and didn't get any crits because the crit chance on Avarice blade is like 10%.
Yeah.
It's
Not
rare. Yeah, it's rare that you would get those crits. So you don't really get combat stats out of an Avarice blade.
Yep.
Yeah, and I get combat stats every time out of my cheaper longsword. But with Ashe, she does really get combat stats out of
Yep.
the Avarice blade. So that actually is a pretty decent purchase for her, and it does make up for some of that gold. And it builds into static shiv, which you can force a crit on if you know what you're doing. And
Yes.
we talked about that last week about
Another thing about that. Like I've been doing the Avarice Blade purchase. I know it's not gold efficient to do this, but I've been just holding onto it for the most part, and depending on like if I get that mid game spike and start getting racking up a whole bunch of kills, I will get the Phantom Dancer instead of the Static Ship,
Really?
even though I'm holding the Avarice Blade.
It's because you're a farming monster.
yeah, you are the greediest, farmingest bastard in the game.
Ash fits you really well, actually, Ernie.
Well, the thing is, okay, so I actually went into a game and checked the different stats. So Ash's passive, if you get Static Shiv, only goes up to like 170% damage if they have Frost Shot on it.
Mhm.
And if you get a Phantom Dancer instead, that 170 damage goes up to 195% damage.
Yeah, sounds about right.
And so, I mean, that's the difference from my perspective, right?
Hmm.
And so, in late game, I can if I get the I end up getting the Phantom Dancer. I'll just sell the Avarice Blade for whatever I need. Like Vamp Scepter, Last Whisper, Bloodthirster. She has a pretty standard AD carry build. I mean, Static Shiv still does work. I just feel that like her scaling is a lot better with more crit.
Yeah, no, it is better. It's just, you get Shiv if you want wave clear and a safer like team fight because you do damage to everyone, a little burst. Phantom Dancer is that I'm going to target one person, try to kill them, and I have a little more movement speed and a little more crit. So, I mean, it's a trade-off, but
Yeah, it's
You're
like
right.
that. I'm gonna waste this Avarice blade I'm holding on to. is what you do when you build a Phantom Dancer.
Okay. Was there something else I want to talk about? I felt like there was. Oh yeah. Ash does damage. Ash is kind of new. She still is Ash. She's not overpowered. You are immobile.
Very
And you
immobile.
are like, the way you should be playing Ash is front to back. Stay safe. Use your ult to find some good team fights and stuff. Don't use your ult to bait your team into their death, which is gonna happen plenty of times anyway. But you're not trying to get the back line. You're just hitting the tank, shredding them with your Last Whisper or Black Cleaver, which I still have to ask you about. But before I go into that, yeah, you're just going through the tank. Next person, Bruiser, whatever, kite back when they come at you. Just stay out of range of that LeBlanc to completely burst you, and then let your team finish up because Ashe is still like she has utility. She's slowing everyone, causing difficulty in the team fight. You're not the star player going and getting a pentakill, like unless you're really fed.
Basically,
By the way,
what
two more things. Focus on kiting because her new kit allows her to kite like stupidly good. So,
I agree.
back up and use that space to create damage, right? That's number one. And the second thing is, I was playing a game with Mooney today, and I had to explain to him the Ash changes today. They've been out for a fucking week, and I had to explain to him today. Don't be like Mega Moon. Read this kit. If you don't know what happened, read it.
I love that we have someone that we could like always go back and like.
I was like, I thought you were gonna start reading patch notes. He's like, yeah. And I'm like, God damn it. All right.
My favorite's like,
Let me.
why is Blitzcrank so slow? Like, seriously? It's been like 2 weeks.
No, but yes. Basically reiterating what Sam was saying. Go front to back because that Q ability makes it so you can kill that front line really easily.
Oh yeah.
Trust me. Like a few points in that Q, few points like during the mid game when you're like level 9 or whatever, like 2-3 points into that Q, it shreds tanks.
Like
it literally kills them.
I really think Ashe is the perfect starting AD carry because one, it teaches you position,
Yeah.
and just as long as you don't play greedy, like you can honestly like a few fights in a game, you could just not participate because it's like a really bad fight and you can't overextend and just live. Like you will, it's easy. It's just like rolling a ball down the hill. You just wait and just attack the front line and it just snowballs and snowballs. And suddenly you just carry the whole team fight and kill everyone. You just gotta play safe, and then suddenly like you know how to play AD carry, and she honestly is an AD carry on training wheels as long as you don't miss position. That's it.
I agree. To be honest, I now think, like, I actually thought this previously, but I'm like 100% sure now that Ashe is a better starting ADC than Caitlyn now.
In this
be
meta,
honest.
for sure.
Because not only can Ashe kill tanks, like, even though she's very immobile, which you should, that helps you learn positioning more faster than people with like dashes and stuff, right? Her range is not low like Vayne's and whatever, Vayne, Graves or whatever. It's actually like right in the center. I believe at 600, if I'm not mistaken.
It's something decent.
Yeah, it's something decent, and so I think Ashe is the best starting ADC right now.
Okay, the other thing, itemization, because when she was on the PBE and everyone was like theory crafting, like, machine gun builds and all this stuff, the big thing is people were talking about Black Cleaver. What do you guys think about Black Cleaver? What do you guys think about the other crazy builds that you could build Ashe with? Like, debunk or share your crazy theories.
Okay, I'll do Black Cleaver.
Okay.
I don't know is the answer to that question. I don't know. Because the reality, I mean, I haven't tried it, and I doubt Ernie has either, so I don't really want to say definitively that it's bad. So pretty much everything that I'm saying from here forth is guesswork, right? Let's break down what Black Cleaver gives you. 20% cooldown reduction. Okay, that's awesome for your ultimate, but it's on a fairly low cooldown anyway. But 20% doesn't hurt.
And for your W,
Right.
W is
Your
decent too.
W.
And for your W,
Mhm.
but
W
your
is a flat
is-
cooldown.
But it's
a
also
static-
on a very low cooldown at like 4 seconds at max rank. It's very fast. And it's not on static
your Q.
cooldown.
Your Q. I mean, your Q
Yeah,
static
yeah. Okay.
cooldown.
W though, your
Mhm.
volley, like, okay, you'll go from 4 seconds to 2, but you can't spam it that much anyway because it's a mana dump and you're going to drive yourself out of mana. Which Ash doesn't have mana problems unless you start spamming volley every 2 seconds because you got 40% CDR, right?
Yeah, good point.
I don't know that 20% CDR gives her enough to justify the purchase because you've got to get a bunch of auto attacks off before you get the like 5-stack Q shot, and you're too immobile to stack that on multiple people a whole lot.
Mhm.
I mean, granted, you'll get volley damage, so you'll hit a couple of people at least with volley, but that's not giving you the kind of stacking that a Last Whisper would on your first attack.
Okay.
So, and yeah, you get some hit points. Okay, hit points are always good as an immobile ADC, but your positioning should be what's saving you, not your hit points. If you kite correctly, you shouldn't need a shitload of hit points unless you're just getting bursted by an assassin or something. And if that happens, you mispositioned in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, realistically, it's a choice between, like, I think it's still very good. Black Cleaver is very good and actually even better on, like, Misfortune. Because you got the AoE ultimate to blast across the team and it quickly stacks.
On everyone that gets
Right?
hit by it.
Yeah, on everybody multiple times.
Mhm.
And Volley doesn't do that. Like, it just doesn't do that. It hits everybody one time and you're one and done. And then you have to actually, like, fire your Q with a bunch of little baby arrows in order to get max stacks. But by that point, I would rather have the 35% penetration on my first, second, third, and fourth shots
Mm-hmm.
than having it on every fifth shot and thereafter with my Q.
Sure.
Yep.
I
So
think.
here-
Oh, go ahead, Ernie.
Here's my explanation on Black Whisper, especially on Ash.
Black Whisper.
Or
That's an intense
Black
item.
Cleaver. Black Cleaver. Sorry.
Uh-huh.
So I'm basically kind of word for word king this from Sneaky. It's a trap item on 80 carries. You shouldn't grab Black Cleaver on 80 carries
Mhm.
because
Don't tell
Because-
them about a Black Whisper, you jive turkey.
the reasoning for this is because the ADC needs to do consistent damage, but sometimes the consistent damage is upfront burst. Like, if you get a crit on the first shot and you don't have a Last Whisper, that crit's gonna do nothing to a tank. Absolutely nothing if you just have a Black Cleaver, right?
Yeah, unless you get all 5 stacks and you.
Right.
Which is
Only, if
how-
you, like I said, only with Misfortune do you have the ability to, like, instantly put 5 stacks on multiple people.
Yeah, that's a good point, Ernie.
That's the only champion that is really that good on.
Like,
And Ernie brings up a very good point here is
also,
you're giving up a lot.
Yep. Also, like for Ash, like it's kind of a trap item on champion or on Ash 2 because you won't be able to do the upfront burst on Ash because even if your Q is active, it's still a ramp up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I believe it's a 6-stack ramp up, not a 5-stack.
Is it 6? Okay.
I'll take your word for it.
I think it ramps up to
Uh-oh.
30%.
5 each
That's-
time. I think that's
yeah,
right.
that sounds right,
It's
actually.
a six stack ramp up. So one Q doesn't put full stacks on it. You need to do 2 shots of Q.
Sure. Yeah, so like with Last Whisper, you get the max damage on the first auto attack. With Black Cleaver, you get max damage at the 7th auto attack. Or potentially the 2nd auto attack if you have your Q proccing those first. But it's still, yeah.
Yep.
You're getting the damage earlier. Yeah, that
Black
makes-
Cleaver is a bruiser item, 100%, because you get the bonus health. They're in the fray. They need to do physical damage around them anyways. So it's keyed in for those melee bruisers that want to go in.
Mhm.
That's my idea on Black Cleaver.
Yeah.
If you're an AD carry, go Last Whisper. It's a safe bet. You'll do well with it, 100%.
And it's cheaper,
It's cheaper by 700 gold.
which is substantial
Mhm.
for an ADC. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and somebody in chat asked, what do we do about runes and masteries? Same thing. You run standard ADC runes and masteries, just like before. No different.
You're not adding crit into your master or runes or.
Okay, so
No, you're not doing
although-
anything.
okay, here's the thing though. For my Ashe page, I run like 9% attack speed and then like 9.5 AD on her. I run a little bit of attack speed on her because you kind of need the attack speed to continually frost shot them or stack more focus stacks so
Mhm.
you can get that Q off on them. So it is okay to run a little bit of attack speed on that. I know mine is a little weird because I put 5% CDR on my Ashe page just because I want that 10% CDR at level 1 so I can continually just volley Q in their faces whenever it's up.
Okay, cool. All right. So, what about all the other flexible builds like Runons? Like, would you just say like just go Infinity Edge, go standard 80 carry build, don't
Go
deviate from
standard.
that unless there's some really weird situation?
Go standard build. My personal opinion. Go
Oh.
standard
Can I-
AD carry.
Guys, can I soapbox for a second?
Sure. A
I just
second.
got a brief. Yeah, it's just a brief thing. I was playing the other day, and whenever you're playing like super low elo, like what my Smurf account is, like pre-30 in particular, people just don't want to play anything meta, right? I'm gonna play support Lee Sin. I'm gonna play support Viger, and support all this other junk, right?
Mhm.
And like I've played support Viger. I can make it work, right? Because I know how to play support in general, right? But that being said, and I think I've said this before on the podcast, I don't know, but playing a lane is a lot like learning to play an instrument. It takes time and practice, and the more you play it and the more you develop skills at it, you know, the more like killer riff you'll be able to play whenever you pick up your guitar, right? You know, same way with like learning a guitar, right? So like the idea is you can't improvise on a song, like just pick out a riff and like be like and make up your own like kick-ass guitar solo if you're not already good at playing guitar.
Yeah.
Don't try to play weird champions or do weird things that are beyond the meta or whatever if you're not already good at what you're doing in the first place.
Unless you're just trying to do something weird, but
I
you
mean, I'm
can't
not
expect
saying
success
don't-
from it.
I'm not saying don't experiment. I'm not
Mhm.
saying that. I'm saying experiment with a purpose. Like you're experimenting to see if something will work. That's fine. Not, you know, hey man, like nobody plays support Victor, so I'm just going to be the best support Victor player in bronze.
Or you could
No,
be the
like-
mediocre Leona support in silver.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I don't get it because it's like there is a path of least resistance, and I know I've used this analogy before. You're trying to walk to the campsite, and it's right there through a nice, cleanly lit and like paved route with a sign that says campsite, and then there's a sign that says like Gorge of Death, and it points the other direction, and it's through like a spider-infested snake forest with like fucking
Lucius.
lightning shooting down, and I suppose there would be some apex predators of snakes there if it's a snake forest. So, yeah, sure, angry mongooses that are somehow developed a taste for human flesh, and you're like, you know what? I'm gonna go that way because yeah, that just I feel like a pro if I can go through the fucking killer rabid mongoose snake forest with the lightning and the fireballs and all that shit. Like, no, dude, just go down the easier path until you can no longer go down that path, and then focus on getting better.
Mm-hmm.
It's so much easier to get better that way than it is to try to buck the system and screw everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, this is in particular from a support Viger I was playing with that did not know how to play support Viger and didn't understand that, like, I'm really here just as a stun bot in the early levels and not, like, I'm going to try to blow them up with meteors. Like, Also, if you're going to pick up a new champion, at least learn the basics of how you should lane with that champion. So many bad Jannas. Low elo. Holy shit. It's like a nightmare. So, that's it. That's all I wanted to soapbox is like, if you're going to improvise and do something different, wait until you're already at a mastery level with what you're trying to do before you try to whip out that killer ass guitar solo. Because, like, I can't pick up a guitar and play guitar solo. I know this. I'm going to pick up the book that's like, Guitar for Dummies.
He's gonna do Smoke on Water. That guy. Dun.
Yeah.
Dun.
Dun,
Dun.
dun, dun, and it's gonna be like way out of pace or whatever because I can't find the strings. So it'll be like, dun, dun, dun,
Dun. Dun.
dun.
Dun.
I'm like, did you guys hear that? Did you guys hear what song that was? And you're like, was it a really bad Smoke on the Water? Yeah, it was. Don't be that guy. Just like learn the shit and work through the steps. Much easier.
Sure. Okay. So moving on from Ashe because we spent a lot of time on her. Akali. So Akali, her E Crescent Slash, buff to the E's cooldown by 2 seconds at all ranks, and AP ratio increased from 0.3 to 0.4. Her ultimate Shadow Dash dashes through and past the target, similar to Talon or Katarina. Ernie, I know you had some stuff to say about Akali, right?
Yes, from personal experience, I played about like 4 or 5 games as Akali so far. I actually really like her change.
You mean since her change?
Yeah, since the change of 5.9.
4 or 5, okay.
So 4 or 5 games since the change. I know Reddit has something terrible to say about Akali, but she's not as bad as people think. So the common thing is the Shadow Dash, her ultimate, will dash you past it. So if they're running towards you, they actually run outside of your auto attack range. They will run out of your auto attack range. But that doesn't matter if you have Cutlass or the Gunblade.
Okay.
It really doesn't, because you slow them, you walk up to them and auto attack them for that Q damage, right?
Mm-hmm. Procking the Q mark, what's that? Shadow mark or whatever?
Yeah, mark of the whatever. I can't remember it.
We're good guys.
But to be honest, it is kind of a nerf buff in a sense, because it does shoot you way past them, or that's the feeling it gives.
Mm-hmm.
Whee! I don't know. I have good things to say about it and bad things to say about it. Like, if there is a champion that, for instance, like Ziggs, that will just stand, like, if the Ziggs sees you jump on them, they will stand there and just throw bombs on top of themselves, right?
Yeah.
And so I have laned against the Ziggs, and it has helped me, because I will throw my mark, jump on them, and then use a second dash to jump on them again, and it puts me back on the original side that I was towards via tower,
Okay.
in the lane. And so it actually does kind of help in a sense, like, I'm now on the safe side if I run back towards my tower.
Sure. Okay.
Right?
So you're basically saying, like, okay, some things were nerfed, some things are buffed. Basically, like, she plays a little differently. You just have to play her differently.
She does play a little differently. To be honest, from my
Holy
perspective,
shit! I just Mr. Miyagi to fly out of midair. I'm gonna go give this guy a watery burial. You guys have fun.
Me too. Oh my gosh, I'm so good. Yeah. So okay, what do you think about her E? Basically, max rank.
E.
It's 1 second cooldown.
Yeah, it's 1 second, and that doesn't even account for cooldown reduction. It's 1 second flat,
Okay.
like no cooldown reduction.
So okay, so the first time I saw that, I'm like, oh my god, that's OP. Before I thought about like what that means. So, what do you think about it?
It's a trap. Okay, it's a trap. Don't think about it as.
Hold on, Ernie. Is
as
that your
OP.
best? Is that your best Admiral Akbar impression?
Damn it! I knew you were gonna do something like that. It's a trap. It's a trap. Okay, so here's the thing. You want to throw a Q onto the target prior to jumping on them, okay? And you want to only crescent slash the E if it's max rank twice. Because if you do a third time, you will run out of energy. And you won't be able to use any of her other abilities.
Yep.
Okay?
That's a key right there.
2 times. 2 times. Trust me on this. I've done a lot of testing on this. It's
Unless
2
you're gonna
times.
kill the person right then.
Okay, unless you're gonna kill the person. But you can do a Q, jump on them, auto attack it for the full 100 back.
Uh-huh.
Q or E twice. Your Q should be up again to throw at them and auto attack for more energy, and then you can E twice again to hopefully kill them.
Mm.
Okay.
So basically, if you E 3 times, you're gonna energy dump your pants.
Yes. You will energy dump your pants.
It's like that. It's like the fart that turned into a shart.
Oh, too far. Oh. You're gonna have to crab walk all the way back to base.
Yeah. So just remember, it's 2. If you 3, you will run out of energy and you won't be able to do anything for like a good couple of seconds trying to get energy back.
Okay. So I guess those are combos and a little bit of how you play her changes. She still sounds like she's a nasty assassin if fed.
Yes.
Do things and pray for no pink wards. Cool. All right. Other notable patch notes I want to mention. Renekton, his W, Ruthless Predator, has increased range and self stuns for less when empowered. I didn't even realize that it was a self stun. Like when he goes to stun someone, he does his animation where he cannot do anything, and that's why you build Hydra on him, so you can Hydra while that dead space of stuff, and it breaks the animation, I believe, something like that.
Supposed to continue doing damage during that self stun.
Yeah. So, but this is only he self stuns for less when it's an empowered W. So there's always a bit trade off with using those like second tier abilities, whether it's empowered or there's other champions that do that stuff. But do you guys think this makes a big enough difference to put him back in the top lane?
Okay, so basically the empowered stun was like 3 slashes. Is now the same amount of time that he does his normal stun.
Oh, okay.
It's just a 2 slashes time instead of the 3 slash time.
Yeah.
So it does make a difference. He's able to actually output more damage in a sense because of this change. And because when you activate W you get like 50 extra range. I think he's really strong now. Like it may bring him back into dominance because it's the tank meta and Renekton ends up being a tank.
Well,
So
that's a good point. I guess he kind of fits in the middle, because this is what I see Renekton. Like Renekton used to be before a lot of the big changes in the last 2 seasons. He was just a immovable lane bully. If he gets a level on you, you're dead. Like that's it. And then he got nerfed, and it's like, okay, now you have to be skillful, but you still bully anyone out of lane and destroy them. Now it's harder to bully people out of lane. Plus the meta with all the tanks is a little harder, but he can still bully out of lane. He does it better now, but he still kind of sucks like late game and even somewhat mid game in team fights. Which I thought his changes were supposed to help his team fight. I did not see it happen in the games I played with him. So I don't know if it's gonna bring him back in. You do make a good point. If he's just the tank that's CCing people anyway, then maybe you just have to build tanky and just be that tank in the mid game and just shut down the top laner, I guess.
I mean,
I don't know.
He's kind of, to be honest, I kind of just picture Renekton in the top lane as I would a top lane Warwick, kind of not in the meta, but he will work because they end up being tanks in the end game.
Sure.
I feel like Renekton's a hell of a lot more viable than a Warwick because he is such a lane bully that those other tanky laners really aren't capable of standing up to him.
I guess it wasn't the best comparison because, to be honest, Warwick isn't a lane bully, but his scaling is bigger than Renekton's, right? And I mean, I just compared them because they end up being tanks in the late
Sure.
game.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
We all can't be analogy, simile, metaphor gods like Blake Fields over here.
Well, one day I'm hoping to trickle down to you guys.
One day.
Analogy skills and then, the ability to recognize references and relate to them.
And live in the 80s and all that stuff. Okay. Next champion I want to mention, Xin Zhao. His ultimate, Crescent Sweep, has a knockback arm. Knockbacks apply a stun now. Or his knockback applies a stun. My big comment is that any hard CC is awesome no matter what it is. Even though they get knocked back, so they lose that time that they're knocked back, and then there's 0.75 seconds additional time where they are stunned. So I feel like they can't do anything for probably around a second. That is huge. Even though it's not like I'm holding someone down and locking them down, like especially as a disengage tool, like this thing is huge. That means that Maokai that you hit back might not be able to twisted advance right back into a fight, or anyone that else has a gap closer, even like a Blitzcrank or not, they don't have gap close, but like anyone that can grab or initiate, like suddenly they have a second where they cannot grab or jump back into the fight where your team can get away. I think it's really, really huge, and with all the Black Cleaver changes and all that kind of stuff, like Xin Zhao is like kind of under the radar, getting better and better, and then this one just made it awesome.
So
I think Insec Xin Zhao plays are now a hell of a lot more viable.
Oh my
Because
gosh.
you can just dash into their team, push somebody back towards your team, and they're stunned.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's nasty. And Zen can just chase back into the safety of his team, knowing that all the other people that he knocked away won't be able to chase him for 3/4 of a second. I mean, that's really damn good. And he was strong anyway without this.
Yeah. He was
Now
always
he's
like
just-
strong because he was so easy.
Yeah, he's super easy. So, I mean, it's just like you have easy mechanics on a really strong champion, and I still don't think anybody's going to play him, even though he's really good, just because he is so... It's kind of like Garen syndrome.
Yeah.
Champ's just uncompelling because the kid's so easy.
Yes. Ernie will
My
never
thought-
play him because it's too easy to gain elo and it's just not fun and not an emotional roller coaster. Or
my
that's
thought
KP
on
as well.
Xin Zhao, though. Okay, here's my thought on Xin Zhao. So there is a process to team fights when you're playing Xin Zhao. Xin Zhao, you flash dash into an ADC, 100%. 100%. Okay, flash dash into an ADC. Okay?
Is your team there? Doesn't matter. Flash
No.
dash.
Okay, no.
Is it 1v5? Doesn't matter. Flash
No,
dash.
no.
Is the Nexus open?
Okay,
Doesn't
here's
matter.
the thing.
Flash
Here's the-
dash.
Here's your team behind you, okay? Here's the thought process, okay? You flash dash into the back line on the ADC, right?
Mhm.
Their team dogpiles on top of you. You hit R, and then your team their team dogpiles on you. Your team dogpiles on them, and you hit R, and that ADC is deleted.
Yeah.
100%.
I just love it because Ernie seems to be like, I had a plan, and now it's falling apart. Now that I described dashing in. 100% very quickly became like 50%.
Okay, so the stun after the sweep is 0.75 of a second, 3/4 of a second.
Mhm.
Okay, before it was 0 seconds. So as soon as they get knocked back, they could jump right back
They
at
could
him.
flash, they could walk, they could spell, whatever. They could do anything.
Ernie's
So-
like the suicide bomber that lit the dynamite way too early because he didn't think about what the order of the shit he was supposed to do was. He's like, yeah, you light the dynamite and then you run into the bank, and everybody's like, wait, no, you do other way, Ernie. And he's like, oh shit, just blows up in the street, and everybody's like, God damn it! Like, I really wish he would have went to orientation.
Oh, now you're kind of reminding me of Zoolander, where they're playing the
The gasoline?
gasoline fight.
We didn't think this one through.
But anywho, it's really good. Try it out. I think it. I don't know. From the one game I saw Sam play it. Man, like Xin Zhao and Lee Sin do crap ton of damage.
Yeah, that was a fun game. Yeah, Shinzao's good, and just the jungle is just so good with him right now. Like Riot just like keeps making everything good for Xin Zhao, and everyone just like always focuses on what it does to Lee Sin. It's like no, don't worry about that. Just play the OP. Oh, look what it does. Hey, oh look what it did to Sejuani. Hey, Xin Zhao's like still over there waiting for you. Like come on. So yes, he's kind of boring, but it's really fun winning games. And 100% flash dash 80 carry.
100%, no exceptions. I don't care if they're in their fountain. This is happening.
I mean, Ernie is basically right. Like Garen, 100%. Flash Q, spin, alt 80 carry. You win game. That's all you do with Garen. It's like very, very, very straightforward.
Their
and suddenly,
mechanics are so simple. That's all you literally have to do.
all you have to do. And then suddenly you're like, okay, now I understand how to play the champion. What can I actually do? Because I finally plateaued in Diamond 3. What am I going to do? Like, it's like, oh, I have to learn another
oh, God,
combo.
I only know how to play Garen.
Okay, so moving on to Zed. His ultimate, Deathmark, does not let Zed teleport back to his shadow instantly anymore. So my question to Ernie, because I've played one Zed game in an ARAM and I lost horribly, is this change just like I ulted someone over the wall, oh my god, his whole team's there and I ult away and not doing any damage, so it's like that, oops, I made a mistake and I'll just wait for my ult to come back off cooldown because I just dashed to it?
This is a nerf to Zed 100%.
Well, yeah, but is
So here's the thing. So some people, most people use Deathmark to execute people. Okay, that's what Zed does. Like he's an assassin. He's trying
That
to.
is the most obvious statement in the world.
yeah, I know. It's
Most
pretty.
people, most people use Deathmark to mark people for death.
Yes. God damn it! Shut up. Okay, so basically, his ultimate was primarily used to erase one person off the map, right? But if you were actually somewhat decent with Zed, you would use it when you're about to die because some people start to panic when they get Deathmark because that thing pops and deals a
because they
crap
remember
ton of
the
damage.
last game that they always died to Zed.
Oh yeah, well,
Yeah.
I mean, it pops and kills people, right? Like
no, you're
people
right.
get
You're right.
scared when he ults someone.
I get terrified. I flash. I'm like, why did I
Yeah,
flash?
so even if the Zed is like 100 HP, you could ult and then they would start running away from where he ulted because they're scared of the death mark, right?
Uh-huh.
But then he could instantly R and start walking away to survive.
I see.
You know? But now in this case, he has to sit there for at least a second.
So this is like that, oh shit, I'm about to die, I can ult and get away. He can't really do that anymore because he ults and doesn't get away.
Yep.
It's kind of like, I used to have a Zhonya's, now I have a quarter of a Zhonya's.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and then also like, if you start a fight and you realize it's a screw up, you could just go out and just don't worry about damage, you just wait. Now you're dead.
1
Okay.
second is long
Oh yeah.
time.
That's like if Xin Zhao flash E'd into an 80 carry and then ulted everyone away.
Yep.
That's about that's like that long. Okay. I don't know. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about the patch notes?
No, I liked it. There was the Cinderhulk nerf and then the Skirmisher Saber nerf. Um, look at the patch notes for those. Skirmisher Saber went from 6 second off or 6 second little mark thing to 4 seconds.
It's basically just to remove smite off top laners as a always do this in
And
the
then-
competitive scene.
And then the passive burn effect
Mhm.
for the Cinderhulk doesn't ramp up anymore. It's on at all times. It is on at all times.
Okay. So,
Remember this.
but it still does it do more damage to
It
jungle
does.
monsters now?
Basically, it does 200. So it's flat 15 now
Mhm.
with additional damage depending on your level, champion level. But it does 100% bonus damage, so it'll do 30 plus champion level to jungle monsters.
So I think they did a good job approaching this one to not give the fat kid's broken bike to the jungler again. If you remember
Yeah.
that analogy from before.
Yes.
Okay.
I do.
Yes. I'm glad something stuck.
I do remember that analogy. But Ferdoku in chat brings up a good point. He says it seems like Riot's making a lot of changes lately that punish people for doing dumb stuff. Like there's no more get out of jail free cards.
I agree.
And that's correct. My only concern in particular with Zed is that he was in a state of balance
You
right
really have
before
to do
this. And do what?
that. Okay, never mind. You didn't even realize your own state of balance stuff.
What, because of the shadows and the
Ninja
Yeah,
in
okay.
his
Oh God. Yeah. Okay. Good. Thank you for snagging that pun out of the ether. I appreciate it. Anyway, or from the shadows, as it were. Anyway, yeah, he was already in a state of balance, and they didn't do anything to compensate him for this loss of mobility. He didn't get any stronger. And, there's, I guess, rumblings right now that if the change on Zed sticks and they don't have to do a whole lot to him, that they may do the same thing to LeBlanc on her distortion.
That makes perfect sense. I mean, LeBlanc is super strong right now. This change would make more sense on LeBlanc than Zed at the current state of both those champions' power.
I have negative thoughts about LeBlanc. I love her as champion, but in the current
Because she's
meta,
OP.
no, in the current meta, I just don't like her very much right now. To be honest,
Well,
like
she
the
could
tank-
bypass all the tanks and kill the 80 carry because of her mobility and
Yeah, all you have
burst.
to do is flash, distort on the 80 carry 100% of the time, and you win, right?
Or, burst the tank to half health, wait 16 seconds and do it again and suddenly kill the front line.
Yeah, I still think she's
I already
she
know
has a
something we
really-
don't.
She has a weird early to mid game cause early game you'll get the 20% CDR item, but from that point on, in order to get that 1600 for that needlessly large rod,
Hmm.
it's difficult because by that point of the game, everyone frickin' comes to the mid lane and steals all your farm.
Ernie, this again.
God, this fucking guy.
Alright, so that's it for patch 5.9 recap. We're gonna finish off the episode with a ton of emails because we got a lot in queue and we're gonna bust through them without taking up too much time. So the first email is from Josh. He writes, just summarizing it basically, he's a bronze 5 mid support main asking for thresh tips. Just in general, Blake, what are your thresh tips for a
Sure.
bronzy player?
Okay, sure. I would say run Thresh with health runes or health and armor instead of attack damage. A lot of people run attack damage on Thresh because they think that you can just attack poke the whole time. That is not something you should be engaging in at low elo, and it's actually much safer to just let your passive on your flay build up and then choose to poke and then back out. The health that you're going to get from those early runes and masteries is actually going to let you play that far more successfully than if you took AD. Secondly, I would say a lot of Thresh players, particularly low elo, put all emphasis on engagements on his hook, and that's actually not the case. Like, generally, the higher elo you go up, people are looking to flay more than they are to hook. So, that being said, you flay, you misposition your AD carry, you may get their flash out of it, and then you hook them. Or you flay, they're slowed, and then you've got an easier hook target. Right? That's something I would say focus on. Lastly, and I mean, these are just the basics, right?
Yeah.
If you want me to coach you, in Thresh, I can do that. We've got Patreon. We're doing whatever we can in order to bring that to everybody. If you ask me nicely, I'd be happy to help you out, right? But that being said, the last would be don't forget your auto attacks. Thresh has ranged auto attacks, and that's super important, particularly in the laning phase 1 through 6. Because even without runes and masteries, your autos do between 50 and 60 damage, and the first one does a lot more than that, right? Don't forget to keep autoing, because just like an ADC would when you're in fights, because that is an advantage that you have over Blitzcrank, over Alistair, over Tarek, over all these other different supports that are melee only. Because you can be putting out a ton of damage. And, I was one of the first Thresh players I ever coached, and I've used this. They say, oh, you mentioned me on the podcast again. I got that the other day. But one of the first Thresh players I ever coached, like, rapidly progressed up the rankings when I pointed out to him that he wasn't using his autos enough. And then that was just the change that made like overnight difference in his Thresh play, because he could hit hooks, he could hit flays, but he was forgetting to auto, and that was a huge amount of damage that would have swung a lot of team fights.
I see.
So those would be my starting Thresh plays. The other thing is don't run in the same direction on top of your ADC. Run like at a different angle. Because then you can, if they chase you, great, your AD carry gets away. Maybe you can flay him and you still get away. If they chase your AD carry, great, you throw a lantern over.
Yeah.
Right? And then you pull your AD carry to safety because they didn't chase you. So that can be a good way to get out, but if you run like right next to your ADC, the lantern is worthless.
Yeah.
Okay, other than that, my number one tip would be in bronze, don't play Thresh, play Blitz. It's easier and it's more effective.
Yeah, it's easier to do what you need to do with Blitz.
And it's way more effective, to be honest. I mean, it just is. And the same thing that I said about Thresh's flay is true of Blitzcrank's uppercut. Just run in and uppercut him, and then when they try to get away from you, then hook them.
Pew!
Done.
They
Sounds
waste a
good.
flash, hook them back.
Yep. It's like, hey, I killed you, and I got your flash, and you're screwed. It's just all around better. So I would say try not to play Thresh until you get a little better at the game. I mean, most gold players still don't play Thresh well.
Yeah, when you say a little better, I'm like, I probably shouldn't be playing Thresh in any of my games. And I learned that very quickly in my ranked, even though I'm like, oh my god, Thresh is so easy, I love him. Then I pull him in rank, and I'm like, misflay, 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 misflay. Alt hits no
Well,
one.
it's like, I'll tell you this, man, and I've used myself as an analogy, man. I have like, God knows how many Thresh games in. I'm a pretty good Thresh player. I'm better than average at my level at Thresh. But to carry a game, and I have like, I don't know, however many, like last season I had like 200 and something Thresh games in, ranked only, just ranked, like 200 Thresh games in.
Yeah.
So you know, and I've been playing him every season, right? I I know how to play Thresh, and if you want to put in that many games, go ahead. You'll probably master him, right? But it takes like that many games to be really good at Thresh.
Hmm.
So your time may be better spent playing Blitz or playing somebody easier to get down.
Yep.
You know.
All right, cool. All right, thanks, Josh, for writing in those. Uh, yeah, Blake gave some good tips. Once you start climbing or figuring out Thresh and you want more advice, Blake is always available. Any of us can give you some tips too.
And
Uh,
I'm not to try to say like don't play a champion you want to play. If you want to play Thresh and you want to put in the time and get really good with Thresh because you find his kit compelling, okay, man, that's cool. That was me too. I did the same thing,
hmm
right? So like I'm not doing a do what I say and not what I do thing. Like do whatever you're gonna do, man. I would just say if you're starting out and you're like, I really want to play a hook champion, should I play Thresh? No, play Blitzcrank, or even better, play Nautilus. He's in the meta right now. Play Nautilus.
Gosh.
He's like a super easier Thresh.
And yeah,
You know,
Nautilus is
and
so good.
and
right now.
coincidentally counters Thresh. So there you go. I mean, same deal.
All right, cool. All right, thanks, Josh. Next question we have is from Marluxia11. He says, "Hey guys, so I know runes are crazy important, and I have 2 full pages, but how many should I have for duo? Is 2 okay? I'm not sure what he means by duo, but I think he means ranked.
I think it
Um,
means duo Q ranked.
Duo Q ranked.
Is what-
Sure. I feel like 3 would be a better number than 2, but that could just be me being overprepared."
Okay. I know sent a response to this.
Uh-huh.
I basically told them bare minimum is 2. A bare minimum is 2 rune pages.
And you start with 2 free rune pages. Empty rune
free rune
pages.
pages.
Coincidentally. No, I'd say that's bare ass minimum. Would be the word I would use. Because like no man, that's not enough. You have basic AD and basic AP pages. What happens if you want to play a tank?
Yeah, you need 3.
You need 3 at a minimum.
But you can play a tank
mean-
with AP or AD. You're right. Bare minimum. I think Blake's explanation, bare ass minimum, is the correct term for 2. Bare minimum 3. Yeah. But anyway,
Yeah,
go on,
okay,
Ernie.
Like I mean, to be honest, even my tanky champions that I play, I use just my standard AD or AP pages, like
Mhm.
depending on what I need.
Mhm.
Like for instance, my Nasus page, I use my ADC attack speed page. Basically, my whole idea is my masteries are gonna make me tanky, and my items are gonna make me tanky. So rune pages, even in the early game, they might affect something, but like being a Nasus, I don't need the runes because I'm waiting to scale up anyways.
Okay.
Right.
Because runes really, really help early game. Have more
Early
impact
game.
early game. Yeah. Sure.
Early game.
Yeah, I think so like a lot of people are just really really obsessed with the really small minute things like which mastery which one last point of mastery should I put here or there, what runes do I need to make to be most efficient. Like easiest way, just copy the pros. Easiest way, 3 rune pages, AP, AD, and tank, like they said. Like those are what you need. When these things become really really important is where you've like your mechanical skill has kind of plateaued and suddenly you need every little bit of an advantage you can squeeze out to win the game. I could play a mid against an AP or AD, and for the most part, I'll let's say I win or lose 50% of that. There'll be like maybe 5% of those games where I am as a mid player, if I had armor versus magic resist, that would have made a difference of me winning the lane. Like 5% of those games, because that's just where my level is. If I'm like actually like a diamond mid lane player, that is going to be a difference of like 25% or even like 30% of my games I will lose because I have a inefficient rune page.
I would say it's about min-maxing,
Mm-hmm.
minimizing and maximizing your effective. Like minimizing your risk, maximizing effectiveness. That's all it is. And the only caveat to what we've said is if you're gonna play a specialty champion that requires
Ooh.
very specific runes, like if you play a Mundo, you better have those health regeneration runes, or if you
Hmm.
play Soraka, like Painless Death said, better have those HP per 5 runes, because she
Or
needs that.
here's a good one. Especially for me because I've been playing a lot of Master Yi. Attack speed. Very good on Master Yi.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean,
So, but like I said, those are, yeah, you can get away with just two. I mean, hell, you could just do ADAP, and that's your things, right? That's what it is on my Smurf account, is just AD page, AP page, and yeah, those runes are not minimized, maximized, whatever, but that's all I can afford right now, and that'll get me through. But realistically speaking, you should really have some flexibility, because what happens if you do get put into a tank role? What happens if you get put into, like, man, the only Mundo top? You know, oh crap. Well, I don't have any good Mundo runes. Well, I'll just go into this game with a disadvantage. But you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So,
I do want to mention. Hold on a second. Wow. There is an old episode that we did. Where is it? I'm looking at like our table of contents, which I have to still remake. There's an old episode that we did where we said how to home improvement section that how to prepare for ranked, where we kind of go over these kind of things, especially if you're new to ranked. It is episode 12. Check out episode 12.
holy shit. That is a long way back, man.
Yeah.
Like 8 months ago or something.
Ignore the quality of the podcast. The content of it is good. But
Yeah, if you want to hear a much younger sounding Sam and Ernie,
back when Ernie was happy.
back when Ernie was
still
happy.
happy. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, this was before Ernie was shellacking cougar love.
It's a painful lifestyle. A lot of hurt.
God
But
dang
apparently, old cougars looking for younger, less mature men are just swarming on Ernie's bedspread. So that kind of explains why he has that now.
Oh my
All right.
God.
Thanks, Marluxia, for that question. I think we have time for a few more, if not one more. Brad J writes in, I've been recently introduced to a support champion that I didn't know would be good or not. Sounds pretty strange, but would Rek'Sai support be good? Please let me know, and some tips and tricks would be appreciated.
I think you've just added a troll email.
I might have, and I gave him a very thorough, legitimate response too.
Then you can tell everybody, but I think that was Luke that wrote that in, because I was telling him he was okay. Regardless,
Yeah,
I
he
made a
was
couple
loving that
mistakes.
Rek'Sai support.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, let's see. This was a while ago. These these emails are kind of old, but so basically I said, the plus side of Rek'Sai. In tunnel, you get a lot of positional awareness of what's going on around you. But that's more in mid game to late game because it doesn't really matter in the bot lane unless you're waiting for jungle ganks too. So that helps. Rek'Sai does have some poke with her Q in burrowed form, and she does have a good engage, like cheese engage, because she does decent amount of damage with very little items, especially early. So at level 3, you could kind of all in. Even level 2, yeah, level 2 you could all in too. Again, this is like putting a Jarvan Lee Sin bot lane or something like that, where it's like a huge cheese, and she's relatively tanky in that sense as well. Like her damage tankiness ratio is pretty good. So why this wouldn't work is because this is again what Blake said, putting support next to a champion name does not necessarily make them a support. It's like, oh, I'm just going to bring Rek'Sai to the bot lane. That's all you're saying. She
Well,
doesn't
no,
give
I
any
mean,
supporting qualities.
Yeah, if you have to say, I'm going to play blank support, then you've probably made a mistake. Right?
Yes.
Like, nobody would say, I'm going to play support Thresh. They'd just say, I'm going to play Thresh.
You would hear
Yeah,
someone
nobody
saying,
would say.
I'm playing Thresh top lane. Or something.
Right.
You
Yeah, I'm going to
do.
play top lane Thresh. And it's like, oh, God, you're probably making a mistake, right? But, like, that's the same thing I got whenever I'm like, yeah, I'm going to play support Urgot. Well, I was probably making a mistake, but, again, once you get good at something, then you can improvise and you know what you're doing, kinda, right?
Mm-hmm.
But with this deal, I'd say unless you're crazy good at support already, probably stay away from support Rek'Sai. But one advantage that Sam didn't talk about was that Rek'Sai is also manaless.
Yeah. So you can keep poking.
So,
And
I
you
mean,
restore some
that's
health
always
as well too by building up the whatever bar she has and then
the rage.
yeah.
But the problem is you have to be attacking stuff to
Mhm.
build up rage, and you don't get to do that on minions.
Nope.
So
Good luck.
yeah, good luck. I mean, to be honest, this is like a less effective version of support Elise. Because
Yeah,
Elise
'cause-
used to be a support back when her cocoon would flat stun and it didn't scale.
Mhm.
And she was way better than, like, her kit would just be way better than Rek'Sai's at a 2v2 scenario. Because if you land it, you're instantly on top of them and whatever, right? If you tunnel in with Rek'Sai, then you're, you know, if you miss your knockup, you're just out of position.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah, so
the way you win with that is because they are caught off guard and don't know how to play against it. But like think of it this way, like the reason why you put supports in the support lane or support role is because they can do stuff without much. They could bring utility, they could bring buffs to their allies, they could create a fight with their abilities, not with their necessarily their items. They don't need their items to be effective. Now Rek'Sai, okay, she can poke, she can do some damage, she can be a little tanky, but what can she do all those things without items? No. So that means you need to win that lane. Not only win that lane, you need to kick ass in that lane so you can get those items, so you can be useful, because all you bring to a team fight without items is little footsteps around the map.
yeah.
So
That and Rek'Sai's an AD, and there aren't any good AD support items.
That's true.
very good point. Okay, I think that wraps it up for emails for now. We got some good ones. We'll make good traction on those next week. Cool. All right. Okay, so to round off this episode, I got a few announcements. Which I forgot to write in the show notes, which is awesome. So I have to remember them off the top of my head. 1. LCS Fantasy has just been announced that it is live, like, I don't know, this afternoon, this evening or something. So we are again going to host a LOLA challenge, LCS Fantasy Challenge. We will get that stuff out information on that by either late Thursday or Friday. We're working out, probably going to do a doodle again. Doodling is a scheduling tool online. Basically, we'll send out a link. You guys give us the email address so we can contact you. You put in your availability so we can draft together. After we get the set amount of people, or we figure out how many people we can make and how many drafts we can make, we'll contact everyone. Everyone meet at this time, make your team names and all this stuff, and then we will compete against the LOLA hosts and whatever. We're going to try to make it as fun as possible. We're going to try to make it so even if you're last place, you're still relevant to maybe winning a prize or something. We will have prizes. All those details are still being ironed out. We'll figure it out. We'll have a lot of fun. There'll be a lot of trash talking. Ernie and I are undefeated. Woo! Blake was a close something.
Fourth?
But his
Was it
league was
fourth?
super competitive, so I can't knock him on that too hard.
Yeah, I mean, come on now. You guys had like softball leagues. And I'm, like,
Whoa,
in the
whoa! I didn't
majors.
say that.
Hey,
I didn't
now.
say that.
Hey, now.
You did that.
You did that.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Drafting is a good time too. We're on Dolby and just shooting shit and trash talking each other's picks and stealing them from each other. All this. I mean, it's a good time. It also gives you a reason to watch the LCS games, and we could watch together on the weekends and stuff when we have nothing better to do. We could all jump on Dolby and trash talk each other and root for Double Lift or Sneaky or whoever. Oh man, this is gonna get weird when we have multiple mid laners and stuff, aren't?
Incarnation.
Oh
Woo!
shit! I just realized that. That's gonna make things really funky. Anyways, so look out for that announcement. That will be on our Facebook. That will be on our website. That will be on Twitter. Look out for those. That thing, it's starting. The first games are on Wednesday in Europe.
This Wednesday?
No, next. No, today is Wednesday.
I was gonna say, what?
Next Wednesday or Thursday. I can't remember when it starts. EU starts. It's Friday. No, it's Friday, Saturday for NA, right? Or is it Saturday, Sundays on for NA?
I can check.
Saturday, Sunday, man.
Saturday, Sunday.
Thursday, Friday for EU.
All right, there you go. So, and if don't be too discouraged if you're listening to this episode late. Still email in and contact us because my guess is we'll still have another draft. Maybe I'll have to do the second draft the following week. We might miss week 1 or week 2, but if people want to do this, we will do it and we will have fun with it. So look out for that announcement and retweet and even tell your friends. We can get randoms on here too. It'll be a lot of fun. Aside from that, the other announcement I have is we have a Patreon page. One thing I want to say is, honestly, I don't care if we get donations. It would be very helpful. Things are out of my pocket. I'm not going to hound you guys about it. But I think we made Patreon rewards really fun and really, really beneficial and a lot cheaper than other Patreon pages that I've seen. I think it's really, really fun.
I really feel like you get your value out of what we're offering here. And, not only that, but, I would like to do the, more fun things that are on the Patreon page.
Yeah, we might have to lower the prices if people aren't doing... Actually, I didn't say that on air. I didn't say that.
Yeah, I don't know. But like I said, it's funny because, just comparing, what you get and what we're offering, I want to go ahead and say Sam doesn't care if we get donations. I would love to get donations just because I want to see karaoke done.
I care more about those freaking milestones. I really want them to happen.
So, that being said, I want to see that. I want to do a LOLA After Dark stream. I want to do these things for the community. And, unfortunately, we've got to actually, get something back to do that, or hell, I'd almost want to do it anyway. But regardless, that's the gate. Somebody please open the gate. I would appreciate that.
Yes.
That would be great. One more announcement, though. We have young Gooby coming on the podcast, who's an ADC. He's a Challenger ADC main. You may know him because he hangs out with Painless Death all the time. And
he posts on Reddit. You see him on the front page.
From his front page kick-ass vein montages. So, we're going to have him on the podcast here coming up pretty soon. I don't know if we've locked in a date for that, but it's probably going to be in the next couple of weeks. So send in what you want an ADC main to answer. What questions do you have, right? We're trying to hit every role here, and I know that, we've done support and mid. I've got Gooby coming for ADC. I'm going to try to start looking at top laners and, junglers and see if we can get that going. We've already got another support lined up in the works because I like supports. So, yeah.
They're
and
just
supports
nice
are
people.
actually, friendlier in general than most other roles. Who knew? Right? Who knew that supports were just better people?
They're just so motherly.
I knew. Right?
They're also very humble.
Because I am the mother goose of this podcast. Just bringing all my little ducklings under my wings, holding them there, trying to teach them about relevant pop culture from the 80s, 90s, and today.
It's
doing what I can.
Have you read the book of Ready Player One?
No, but I have read the book The Giving Tree, and I am pretty much that. So.
Way to turn that one around. No, it's all about 80s references. So when I read the book, it's a video game kind of book, total different world where the whole world is like an MMO kind of thing, but it makes tons and tons of the whole thing is referencing the 80s because it's kind of revolves around the 80s idea, even though it's in the future. And everything went over my head. There's so little that I got. I'm like, I bet this book would have been so much more enjoyable if I knew.
Do you own the book? Can you just email it? Or just, not email. Yes, can you transcribe it into a Word file and then email it?
I think I think computers work if I throw it hard at my monitor. It will imprint an email.
And into mine. That would be great.
I got it on the loot crate actually, but
Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool.
it was cool.
But yeah, Irish Nightmare's suggesting to get Dyrus for top lane. Yeah, okay. Uh, get reasonable expectations of my networking skill. How about that? I will do my best to get somebody.
Ernie will only suck so much dick for this cause, okay?
Yeah, I mean,
What?
I the amount of sexual favors that Ernie has done just to get us this far.
I feel
Why
bad.
am I always the person to be thrown under the bus, guys?
Thank you, Ernie.
the
Thank
hell?
you. I want to take this
What
time to
the
say
hell?
thank
It's
you,
like-
Ernie.
It's like, so I just envision you guys kind of like the Hulk, like just using your finger, your thumb and index finger, grabbing me by the ankle and just tossing me, like under a bus
If that's what
or
gets
under
you
a
up.
building.
I mean, if that's what floats your boat, man, I'll do that for you.
God damn it!
Uh,
What the hell?
Well, no, I've just been surprised at how many people in power are in like the esports industry are horny old cougars. So you got to fish with the right bait, Ernie. That's all I'm saying.
I hate you guys.
you never use the worm to catch a shark.
I hate
That's
you
exactly
guys.
right, buddy.
I hate you guys.
All right, so that's
Coincidentally, you use a worm to catch a cougar. Eh? Eh?
Ernie's worm. Oh!
Worm.
hate you guys so much.
All right, I think that's all the announcements I have. Community games tomorrow, all that good stuff. So that is episode 50 of the League of Legends Anonymous podcast. Almost the year mark, 52. We gotta do something special for that. But that is episode 50 of the LOLA podcast. We will see you guys next week.
Night, everybody.
Peace out.
Peace.
Dude, what is the deal with us getting all of these fucking spam bots?
Everyone loves us, even the bots.
Dude, I have banned 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
Banned
8.
a few.
Oh,
I've
that was
banned a
you
few.
doing it?
I've banned
Yeah.
a few.
I was going through there and banning the shit out some spam bots.